Teach others to give. Multiply your impact. Multiply by teaching others. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 204 of our Supersize You annual challenge. I almost said business again. It's because this year, for the first time, I'm doing parallel topics in my two groups, personal development group, our annual challenge, and in our Supersize Your Business school community and online as well. Still, I'm kind of doing a transition year. Next year, if I do an annual challenge for business, it'll be 100% in the school community, and that's where you'll have to go to find it. So, today's topic, and another reminder, is we need to do the you in our super framework, which is perfect because it comes up as one of our topics today. And that's that we need to teach and share the thing that's between our two ears. Our greatest asset isn't our ability to work and earn money or start a business or any of that. It's how we impact the world around us, how we impact other people, what we do, the example we set. I always say, and I've said this literally hundreds of times since I came online and even before, either you're an example of what to do and how to do it and to inspire other people, or you're a warning of what not to do, how to freak other people out, including your friends and relatives. If that's your game, go for it. Excuse me, my throat is just funky the last 2 days. And there's lots of stuff in the air. And I like coffee in the morning. So the whole point of today is day 204, like I mentioned, of our Supersize You annual challenge. And we're talking about contribution all this month. If you're just joining us, you might not know that, so I like to bring it up. But it's our responsibility, whether we choose to accept it or not, to make the world a better place, and do that by sharing and teaching skills and abilities we acquire throughout our experiences and our adventures here on planet Earth. I think I've done that most of my life. I think it's automatic. I learned it from my parents. My parents were both incredibly giving people. They were active in the community. They were active in our lives. They were always learning and growing and training and teaching other people. They were actually, if anybody knows what this is, I don't even know if it still exists, Andrew Carnegie facilitators and coaches. And my dad worked at 3M. My mom stayed at home with us girls, but they did that for years when we were growing up. So that had a profound positive impact on my sisters and I in terms of knowing that there's incredible value in teaching other people certain skills and things that you know and you've learned. And not just that you've learned. It's not all about reading books and education. I think it's more important that you learn from your life experiences and share that with people. It's the reason I started doing these videos in the first place. It's like, okay, at the time I started, I'd been around for like 45 years in business. Now it's like 53 years or something outrageous. Because I started young. I'm pretty old too, but I started young. And the reason I did is because I was following the example that my dad set for my sisters and I. And we all went in totally different paths, which I find fascinating. But we all have been lifelong learners and people that give back to things around us, people around us, etc. I guess let's ask ourselves some reflective questions today around this. Now, as you know, I'm a pusher of the be a giver, not a taker philosophy. We all consume, but if we're all consuming and things are all consuming to us, we get into trouble, because what we put out into the world, aka give, is what comes back to us. So if we're just taking, what's going to happen? We're going to attract people that just want to take from us. Not the best circumstances to perpetrate. So I'm going to actually look at my sheet and ask you these questions. I'm going to read them with my magnifying glass. Skills are actually the only wealth that multiplies when shared. So think about that, except for hugs. Hugs aren't any good if you keep them. My dad used to always tell my sisters and I that. So there's certain things, and then hugs are an example of giving, right? It's actually a really good example of giving. So the skills that we have and we acquire are great, and we can use them to impact our life, our career, our job, our business. But if we share them with other people, that has a non-calculatable ripple effect out into the world. Again, because what we put into the world is what ripples through it and what comes back to us. Usually comes back to us tenfold, which is why I warn my children and grandchildren, be careful what you do and say, because it can come back to you another day. And that's not necessarily what you want. If you're putting bad into the world, do you want bad to come back to you? No. If you're gossiping and being mean, do you want that to come back to you? No. So have a little check in your mind that says, okay, can't believe I just said that. Maybe I better step away from this conversation and do something different. Teaching creates teachers. When you teach somebody how to do something, not only does it reinforce the learning for you, but it encourages other people to do the same. People like to pass it on. It's why stories are so powerful. People love to retell stories that touch them in some way. And so if you can teach in stories, that just makes it exponentially more powerful. And sharing our experiences is a great example of sharing stories. You know what you know, but it's amazing to me, almost weekly for sure, but almost every day, I realize that I take something for granted, and it's because it's automatic for me, but it's not automatic for most of the people on the planet. Let's give a prime example. Thinking for ourselves. For me, it's automatic. It isn't so for most of the people on the planet. At least not in, I don't think anywhere on the planet. I don't think it is human nature to think for yourself. I think we're kind of like herd animals. Many people are sheep. That's why it's such a great analogy. And it's a skill that if I can teach my grandchildren and other people, and I share it all the time, to think for ourselves and understand how something really impacts us, not how somebody else said it was going to impact us, and then, is it true? Is it true for me? Etc. We need to ask ourselves questions when we catch ourselves going off on those thinking loops that aren't really thinking at all. They're just going along with the program. So today, let's talk about the U in our super framework before I forget. I'm going to pull it down. Super framework. This is a great example of how we can share with other people. Create your own frameworks. Find ways that you do something that works really well for you, and then share it with somebody else. Oh, but it's my secret proprietary stuff. Nonsense. There is no such thing. Guess what? I guarantee all of my frameworks are all over the internet. And do I care? No, because I rather have the positive ripple effect that has if someone actually uses it than care my ego or my identity is tied into it's mine, right? That's just narcissistic, I think, or selfish, and very scarcity mentality, which is the opposite of what we want. So, yesterday we talked about specifying our target. What is it that we actually want in the area of contribution by the end of the year? Then, today, we're going to uncover what actually is. What's actually happening in our life right now in the area of contribution. If it's nothing, it's nothing. That's just where we are. No judgment, no criticism, no beating ourselves up. Just be honest with where we are. And how do we know? We think about it. We sit down with a piece of paper and a notebook, and we're like, all right, where are we? 0. Well, if we're at 0 and we're not doing anything, or we go to Goodwill once every 2 years, then we go to Goodwill once every 2 years. What's stopping us from looking around at the things we no longer use and going there tomorrow, going there today? Let's just do something. And then make sure somebody else that you love and care about observes you doing that, so that gives them permission to do the same, right? Set the example. Now, I'd prefer if you taught somebody how to go through their stuff and pull out things that they're no longer using and gift them to other people, because that's teaching somebody. So I'm going to tell you, I do that with my granddaughters all the time. One of the main fun things, besides I love and adore them, living with my daughter and her family, is I get to hang out with my 2 youngest granddaughters a lot. And there's nothing more rewarding than teaching little people and the next generations things that can help them have a better, happier, easier life. Life can be hard, but life can also be fun and an adventure and easy. It's all in what we look for. So today, in addition to coming up with where is it that you want, yesterday we did where do you want to go, today we're going to do what the heck is going on with contribution. Again, I say write it down. Get a piece of paper. Doesn't have to be fancy. SUPER, and then just write what you're working on for contribution every day as we add through the 5-day process. All right, I am going to tally-ho, go. If I can help you in any way, please reach out and ask. That's what I live for, is helping people to have epiphanies and aha moments and breakthroughs and teaching you something so that you can go and teach others. All right, have an awesome day, and I will, of course, be with you tomorrow. Bye.